Hello CraftDee family, and welcome to another tutorial by She's So Crafty. For today's DIY projects, we will be creating some home decor with a modern theme and a touch of bohemian style. Now these DIYs are presented with lots of options to decorate and display them in the style of your choice. Now as always, all of the projects I create have complete supply lists in the description box, so you can easily use it for reference as you gather your supplies. Now today's video is a collaboration with Holly from Hot Humble Pie, and we have been planning this collaboration since last year, and I'm so excited the time has finally come. Now I will be sharing her awesome channel and sneak peeks of her creations with you all later in this video. Now before we start, I have to say hey to all of my awesome subscribers, and if you are a new visitor to my channel today, I hope you consider subscribing as well and stick around to enjoy all of these fun and easy crafts that I will share with you today. So now, let's just jump right into these projects. Now this is a set of framed succulent wall decor pieces. Now we're going to need 3 of these Hexagon picture frames from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to need 2 packs of these craft sticks from Lowe's for 98 cents. Now the first thing we're going to do is to take our picture frames and we're going to remove them from all of the packaging. Now once we do that, we're going to open up the back, and there's these little hooks that you just twist out of place, and we're going to remove everything inside of the frames, including the paper, the backing, and the sheet of glass. Now all we're going to be using for this project are the frames and the backings. So I'm going to lay down my Chevron silicone mat and grab the backings and my craft sticks. Now once we get our craft sticks open, we are going to arrange our backings where the hook is at the top, so we'll know which way to lay our craft sticks across the front. Now some of these craft sticks will be too short for the width, so what I decided to do is to lay them out in a tile fashion. So I'll be cutting these at varying lengths, and then I'm just going to hot glue them to the back with my Chevron wood stick hot glue. Now it's okay if the ends overlap the edges of this shape, and that's totally fine because we'll be trimming these down to size. You just want the joining ends in the center to be even. Now once we put that first one into place, we're going to start with our second one. Now when we do cut the second stick, we do want to stagger that seam to make it look like a more natural tiled appearance. Now you're just going to hot glue those pieces into place, and you want to make sure those flat ends are together, and then secure them right under that first row. Now we're just going to continue this process all the way down, staggering those seams. Now here is the entire backing all covered with my craft sticks. So now I'm going to lay out my cutting mat, and I'm going to grab an X-Acto knife or a pair of scissors to trim this off. Now I'm going to first show you how to trim with scissors. Now these craft sticks are fairly easy to trim with a nice heavy-duty pair of scissors, as you can see here, and the line is fairly straight. Now if you have an X-Acto knife or a utility knife, if you score it just a few times, those ends should just snap right off as well. Now here are all the ends all trimmed off. Now if you notice on the back, there's these little areas where you can see that craft stick, and those are where those hinges are. So we're going to just trim those out with an X-Acto knife or utility knife, just to make sure they'll fit right into the frame when they're all done. So now we're just going to repeat this process for our other 2 frame backings. And now here are all 3 of my frame backings all tiled with those craft sticks. So now what I want to do is to stain those craft sticks, and to do that I'm just going to use some of this Waverly Antique Wax. Now to apply it, I'm just taking an old rag, and I'm going to apply that stain all over those wood sticks, just making sure I get a nice even coat across them and making sure the color blends in well. Now here is one of the pieces all covered with that Waverly Antique Wax, and just repeat this for your next 2. And now that all of our pieces are stained, set those to the side to dry. Alright, so now that they're all dry, we can start decorating them. So I have a bunch of different succulents in different sizes, and I've picked these up here and there, mostly from the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to take is like 2 or 3 of them and arrange them in a little bunch in the center of each one of these wood plank pieces. And once I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to adhere them to the center. Now, if you want these to be extra permanent, you just be generous with that hot glue while placing it into place. But I'm only putting a dot or two for my version because I plan on reusing these succulents for other projects, but it still will be secure to display in my decor. Now once you get that all glued down, this is what they'll all look like, and you see that they are nice and secure. And now all you have to do is to take your frames and go ahead and pop those right back in, and then swing those hinges over to secure the backing inside of that frame. Now once that first one is done, just repeat this for your other two. And now these are ready to display. And here are all of my framed succulents displayed on the tabletop, and they turned out amazing. Now I love how beautiful the colors are of these pieces, and they look great in these frames. And I also love how the texture of the wood looks with the antique wax applied. Now if you would rather hang these, there are a few other options you could choose. Now here are the pieces hung in a vertical pattern on the wall. Now I think this would be perfect when you have a narrow space that you would love to decorate. And all of these little pops of color always add that little brightness to a dim space. Now these can be hung horizontal on the wall too. And now here's a different cluster arrangement that is also an option. Now this way has to be my favorite way to display these, but you all have to let me know in the comments how would you choose to display these pieces in your space. Now I wanted to take a moment to mention that this video is in collaboration with Holly from Hot Humble Pie. Now she creates some amazing home decor on her channel, including farmhouse styles, modern and high-end creations that will absolutely blow your mind. Now her DIYs have so much amazing detail, and the final result is always a winner. Now she's so down to earth, and I'm sure that you all will enjoy her DIYs as well. So be sure to stop by her page, check out her amazing creations, and be sure to let her know in the comments that She's So Crafty sent you over. Now our next project is a decorative table basket. Now we'll need one of these plain baskets from the Dollar Tree. We'll also need some cotton twine, also from the Dollar Tree. So now what we want to do is take our basket, and we are going to measure for a center line that we're going to paint. So I'm measuring about 2 1/4 inches all the way around the basket, and I'm making a mark with a pencil. Now once that's done all the way around the bottom, we want to do the same thing around the top at about 2 1/4 inches all the way around. So now that all my marks are made, I'm just going to go in with a Sharpie just to highlight those marks so I can see them a little better. So now that our marks are nice and bold, we're going to take some painter's tape, and I am going to run painter's tape along the bottom of those marks, pressing it into place as I go, just making sure you apply it as straight as possible, lining up with those marks, and then pressing it into the weaving pattern. Now we're going to repeat this around the top as well, so we'll have a strip around the middle. So now that our 2 strips of painter's tape are now applied, we can start with our painting process. Now I'm going to be using some black apple acrylic paint to paint my strip in the middle. Now my first layer is kind of going to be dry brushed on, especially around the edges, because I kind of want to create a line and a seal around the tape to try to prevent as much bleeding as possible. So here is our dry brushed layer, and we want this to completely dry. And now that that's dry, we're going to go in with our heavier solid layer of our black acrylic paint, just making sure that we cover all of the exposed basket in between that painter's tape. And now here is that layer applied, and please let this completely dry, and then when it does, you can remove that painter's tape and of course that annoying little tag in the corner. So once we remove our painter's tape, there are probably going to be a few areas where that paint did bleed, but it's probably going to be minor. If it does bother you, feel free to go in and touch up with a little more acrylic paint around the edges, but once this project is finished, it will barely be noticeable. Now once you do your touch-ups, just let that completely dry. So now that our black strip is dry, we're going to use our Waverly Antique Wax to fill in the areas above and below that strip. Now I'm using some chipping brushes that I got from the Dollar Tree and also a thinner brush to do some fine details. So I'm going to go in with my large chip brush and apply that Waverly Antique Wax around the bottom of the basket first. Just wisping it along the edges, making sure it gets into all of those crevices. And then to get closer to that black line, just use the smaller, finer detail brush to get that wax in place. Now once you finish that layer all the way around, you want to immediately go in with a cloth and wipe away any excess antique wax, and this will give you that really rustic look and appearance, and plus it prevents the caking up of that wax. So once that's done, go ahead and repeat this entire process for that top of the stripe as well, just making sure you apply it and then wipe it away. Now we're going to do the entire inside as well. Now this is actually completely optional, but sometimes home decor does fall below the rim of the basket, and having the inside finish will look awesome. So I'm going in with the same process of applying the wax and then wiping it away with a cloth. Now doing the bottom of the basket is also optional as well. So now that our basket is all covered and it's nice and dry, we can go ahead and continue on to the next step, which is adding our cotton twine. Now this cotton twine is from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use this to make kind of a triangle zigzag pattern on the stripe of my basket. So to start it off, I'm going to make one strip of hot glue on the side, and I'm going to apply that cotton twine on that little diagonal strip. Now, in order to make my triangles nice and crisp, I'm going to need something to hold it in place besides my finger. So I'm going to use this little tool that I got from the Dollar Tree. It's an embossing tool, and I'm just going to hold it in place, add another line of hot glue in a triangular pattern, and press that cotton twine into place. So once that's adhered, we're just going to repeat this process again. Go ahead and go in the other direction of the zigzag, put your tool right at the tip of that triangle, get that angle, and then add that hot glue. Now you can see how easy this process will be. We're going to continue this all the way around the basket in the same pattern. Now we'll end up with about 3 triangles per side just to get an idea of how big they are going to be. Now we're just going to repeat this process all the way around until it's all covered. Now here is our basket all finished, so we're going to clip off the end of that cotton twine and check out our work and just make sure everything is nice and even all the way around. Now I wanted my basket to have a weaving look, like I've woven the string into the basket. So what I'm doing is taking a fine tipped paintbrush, and I'm going to dab some of that black acrylic paint in 2 spots on each side of the triangle. Now this will look as if I have woven it through the basket, and it's kind of a trick. It's a cheater method, but it is effective. So I'm going to do this all the way around the basket and see how that looks and see how that turns out. So here is what it's starting to look like, and you're going to continue it all the way around, and here is the finished product of it, and I absolutely love it. I think it does really look like basket weaving. Now once that's done, all you have to do is allow it to completely dry. And now that it's dry, you can just sit your basket out and fill it with whatever decorative accents that you like. Now I love the size of this basket. It's perfect for all of your little trinkets, books, or even to cover a potted plant. And I can't tell you how much I love this zigzag trim on the basket, and it really makes it look higher end. Now along with that beautiful the wax, it really does make this a winner in my book, and I hope that you all love this creation as well. Now, I really hope that you are enjoying these crafts so far, and I wanted to pop in and let you know that you can follow me on all of these platforms shown here as She's So Crafty. Now, for your convenience, I've also provided these links in the description box below. So now, let's get back to all of those DIY projects. Now, this project is a set of vases with wood stands. Now, we're going to need some tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. We're going to need 3 of these tall, thin vases from the Dollar Tree. And we're also going to need some of these black rocks from the Dollar Tree. Now we're going to start off working with our blocks for this project. And I'm also going to use this carpenter square that I got from the Dollar Tree to help with the alignment of everything. So the first set we're going to glue together is we're going to gather up 4 blocks, and we're going to make 3 sets of these 4 blocks. Now to bond these together, I'm adding some of this Surebonder wood stick hot glue to each side, and as I join each one together, I'm flipping over the set and making sure it's nice and even. I found that flipping them as you go makes them nice and even, and also with using the ruler, this is definitely a necessary step. And here is one of the 4 block sets. Now complete this until you have a total of 3. So the next set of blocks we are going to be joining together are 3 blocks in a row. Now we're going to make 12 sets of these 3 blocks. Now we're going to join these together the same way we did for the 4 block sets, just joining them end to end and making sure they're nice and even with your ruler, and then repeat this until you have a total of 12. Now the last set of blocks we're going to be using for this project are sets of 5. Now we are going to be making 12 sets of 5 as well, and just continue to join them together just like we did before until we have this 5 block set, and then continue until we have a total of 12. So we're going to take one of the 4 block sets, and this will be the top of each one of our sets, and then we're going to take 2 of the 3 block sets and join it on each side as shown here. So just add some of that wood stick hot glue on each side, and you want to press it in the corner and make sure it's nice and secure, and then add another one of those 3 block sets on the side of that 4-piece set until you get a piece that looks like this U shape. So now we're going to grab one of the 5 block sets, and we're going to add 1 on each open side of it, and you see that this will make a solid box. So go ahead and add some of that hot glue along each side of that U shape and press one of those 5 block sets into place. Now once you do that and squeeze everything in place, you want to make sure you wipe away any hot glue that oozes out, and this will be the smallest of your vase stands. So the next set we are going to do is we're going to take 4 of those 3 block sets, and we're going to join them end to end as shown here, because this will be double the height. So join 2 of these sets end to end. Now we're going to continue this until we have 2 of the 2 stacked block sets. And now we're going to double that up for the 5 block sets as well. We're going to join 2 of those together to make the sides of our vase holder. So now go ahead and take your 4 block set, which of course is the top of your set, and take those 3 block sets and add 1 to each one of the sides. Go ahead and add your hot glue just like we did before, and we're going to form that U shape with 2 of those sets. Now once we do have that U shape, go ahead and add your 2 blocks that you've double stacked with your 5 block sets, and there you go, you have your mid-size block set. Add your glue, squeeze out the ooze, and there you go, you have your middle set shape here. Now for the final one, we're going triple high, so we're going to use 3 of the 5 block sets, and we're going to use 3 of the 3 block sets, and we're going to glue them together the same way. Now once all of those sets are glued together, of course, we're going to grab our 4 block set, which is the center, and then we're just going to bond them together just like we did before, except this one will be the tallest, so it's 3 high. Now once those 2 sides are on, we have that U shape, and just go ahead and put those 2 triple block sets of your 5 blocks on each side. And there we go, we have our tallest set, and when we compare them all, we'll see they are all a tiered set. So now what we want to do is to stain our set, and to do this I am going to be using my Waverly Antique Wax. Now I am just going to use a small rag to stain this. Now you should be able to get the inside of the smallest tier easily with the rag, and just apply a nice thin layer on the inside and the outside of that block set until it's nice and covered with an even coat. Now you do want to make sure you get those edges as well so everything is nice and even, and here it is. So we're just going to repeat this for your other two, and they may be a little deep for the rag. In this case, you would use a small paintbrush to get inside and make sure the inside edges are painted as well, and this is what they'll end up looking like. So once they sit and dry for about an hour, we can go ahead and start working on our vases. So I'm grabbing my vases and those black rocks that I got from the Dollar Tree. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of these rocks to each one of the vases, and I'm going to fill it about 3/4 of the way full. Now once that's done, I have some little battery operated tea lights that I'm going to put inside, or you can put real tea lights since these are glass, and I'm going to add those as an accent. Now you can also accent with any greenery that you like as well. It's all up to you. So here are my vases and stands all set up on display, and I am loving this look. Now I think that the candle adds a little touch of relaxation to these, which adds a bit of calm to a space. And the triple tier design adds a bit of visual appeal, and the color of that wood looks so awesome. Now I really love how these stands are separate and that you can arrange them in so many ways. Now here they are all bunched together, and it totally changes up the look. Now I do think this way is a perfect option if you have a smaller place to display these. And of course, if candles aren't your thing, you can always add some sprigs of greenery as well. And having the rocks is totally optional too. Now another great thing is you can flip the blocks over and use them as vases as well. Now all you have to do with these is just add some stones, some succulents, onion grass, or whatever you like. Now I just have to say, I love projects that have multiple uses, don't you? So now we're on to a pair of modern wood shelves. So I'm going to use 2 pieces of scrap wood that I had that are 1x4, and these are cut to 10 inches. And I'm also going to be using one of these heavy duty hangers that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to first of all start with my wood, and I am going to go ahead and stain it with my Waverly Antique Wax. Now when I do stain this, all I'm going to do is I'm going to stain the entire piece because it will be shown in the project. Just go ahead and apply a thin layer of that wax on all of the pieces and all of the sides, top and bottom, and make sure it has an even coat. Now here are my 2 pieces all covered, and just sit them to the side to completely dry. Now while those dry, we're going to work on our hanger. So go ahead and grab one of those heavy duty hangers. Now as you see, these are fairly thick. These are about a little more than double the size of a regular hanger, so they're heavy duty and they can hold a lot of weight. Now in order to shape the hanger, all I'm going to do is take my wire clippers. I'm first of all going to cut off the hanger portion where that loop is, and then I'm just going to cut it evenly down the center until you have these 2 V-shaped pieces. Now I'm going to stack the V-shaped pieces right on top of each other until they're nice and even, and I want to make sure that they stay even, so I'm going to tape them together with a little piece of painter's tape. Now you can do any adjustments as you go just to make sure they're nice and even. So now what we're going to do is trim off any excess, and we want to make sure both sides are perfectly even. Now you can use a ruler for this. I was kind of eyeballing it for my project, but you can trim as you go to make sure that they're okay. So now I'm just grabbing a piece of scrap wood that I use for drilling things on, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unwrap my 2 hanger pieces, and I'm going to mark a dot near the bottom about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Now with this dot, I'm going to go ahead and drill a pilot hole. So I'm taking a small drill bit and I am going to drill it right through that dot, and this will help affix this to our wood piece. Now we're going to repeat this for the other piece as well. So now our 2 pieces have our holes drilled so we could attach them to the wood piece. So by this time, the wood is nice and dry, and I am just going to start to apply the wood hanger. So you're going to select the back of the wood piece that you would like to have the hanger attached to, and then you're going to line up those holes with the center of the back. You want to make sure that the holes will go to the back. Now, to temporarily hold this in place, I am adding some of this wood stick hot glue just to press and hold it, and this will hold it while we are applying our permanent screws, and we want to do this for both. Now, the screws that I chose to use for this are some 2-inch number 6 wood screws, and these should be nice and long and sturdy to hold these shelves in place. So before I put those in, I am going to drill back through that same pilot hole into the wood, because we do want this screw to be able to go into the wood without splitting it. And so once we do that, we're going to add our wood screw right through that same pilot hole and secure that hanger piece in place. So now we're going to repeat this for the other one, and now our 2 hangers are nice and secure on the back of our wood shelves. Now, unfortunately, I could not find these hangers in black, so what we're going to have to do is paint these black, and what I'm going to be using is some black acrylic paint. Now, to do this, I'm just going to go ahead and paint 2 nice coats on this, letting them dry thoroughly in between. Now, you definitely could have done this before attaching them, but while working with these, I didn't want them to get scuffed or chipped, so I decided to do them once they were applied to the wood. So once those 2 layers are nice and dry, what we're going to do is go in with some Mod Podge, and this is the matte, and I'm going to put a nice thick layer on top of that. Now, this will protect the coat of the 2 acrylic coat paints that we have on there, and that way it will prevent it from chipping or scuffing. Now, here are both of our shelf hangers nice and painted, and we want to allow these to completely dry, and here they are. That was so easy, and now we just let those sit to cure, and then we can decorate them. And how easy was that? Now, we made 2 stylish shelves that were super quick and easy. Now, I love the modern look of these, and they are perfect for those small items that you want to showcase. And this wood was left over from a 1x4, but you could even use pallet wood for this project if you like. Now, you can make 1, 2, or even a dozen. And these are super cute and would look great in any space. Now, this project is a pillow cover and a 2-tone pillow. So I'm going to use one of these tassel rugs from the Dollar Tree, one of these soft microfiber cloths from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using a piece of faux leather that I got on clearance from Walmart for $1.50, or you can use like a thrifted purse or a jacket for the piece of leather. So we're going to start off working with that little tassel throw rug from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to turn it over with the good side facing down, and then I'm going to fold it in like an envelope style shape just to see how big I would like my pillow. So for the bottom, I'm going to fold up, and first of all, I'm going to remove all the tassels because this will be on the inside of the pillow. You want to cut the tassels off above the knot. Please don't cut them below, because then your rug will start to unravel. Now, the fold up was approximately 6.5 inches for reference. So now we're going to secure the sides. Now, if you don't want to sew it, which I do prefer, you can use a product called Fabri-Tac, which is washable, flexible, and clear, and this is a permanent adhesive. Now, you can also use some hot glue, but I prefer to use this SureBonder fabric stick hot glue, and this is specially formulated for fabric to bond those edges. Now, that's what I'll be using today. Now, you can use regular hot glue if you just plan to have these just sitting around and don't plan to wash them. It's not the most durable, but these fabric sticks are great. So like I mentioned, we're going to be, first of all, adhering those sides to that folded up area that we have here. So what I'm going to do is take my fabric stick, and I'm going to apply a generous amount of that fabric stick glue along that seam. Now, this does come in a color white and a color black, so there are options from SureBonder for this. Now, once that first side is bonded, we're going to repeat this on the other side. So now that both sides are bonded, we'll notice we do have this nice little pocket here, and now we can flip that top side right down over it. Now, it's important that you have this overlap at least 3 inches for this envelope style pillow to work appropriately. So now what we're going to do, once we have our fold, we're going to apply more of that fabric stick hot glue along that edge and just press it as you go down. Now be generous with this glue. It's very strong and secure, but you want to make sure that all of those fibers are saturated with that glue. Now you're going to repeat this for the other side, and you notice now you have this nice secure edge. Now I'm pulling, I'm tugging, it isn't going anywhere. This stuff is really great. So what I'm going to use to stuff this is this pillow. Now this is actually one of the Dollar General full-size pillows that I cut in half and made into a travel size pillow, which is perfect for this size and for placemat pillows. And I'll link the tutorial in the upper right hand corner of this video to show you the other video on how I cut it and made it fit. So we're just going to insert this into our casing until it's nice and even, and I'm brushing out the tassels to make it look nice and pretty. Shake it out, and there you go. You have a very nice envelope style pillow. So now we're going to work on our other pillow, which is our solid pillow with the leather. So I unwrapped the microfiber cloth, and it's not exactly square, so we are going to make it square, and all we're going to do is drag the corner up to the other corner to form a triangle, and then cut it along that straight edge, and this will form the square pillow that we're looking for. So now that we have our perfect shape, this cloth has a really fluffy side and a low fluffy side. Now we do want the low fluffy side to be on the outside and the fluffier side on the inside. When it comes to using glue, you want to have the lowest pile that you want, but if you're sewing this, it doesn't matter. You could choose whatever side that you like. So now we're going to grab our fake leather piece here that I have here, and it's a scrap. You just want to make sure one of the edges is cut nice and straight. And then we're going to lay our little scrap piece that we cut off our square along the bottom. Now we just want to make sure those edges are nice and even. So you're going to flip up the edge, and then you're going to start to apply more of that fabric hot glue along the edge. And I like to add 2 or 3 inches at a time, just adding a nice thick layer along the way. Again, you want to make sure you're bonding the low fluff side of that fabric to the good side of the leather. Now I'm using these Dollar Tree clips as I go. These are great for holding it in place as you work. So then just continue to add that fabric all the way down, bonding the 2 layers together until they're bonded, and it's pretty quick. At about maybe 5 minutes, it's nice and secure. As you see here, I'm pulling and tugging, and everything is secure there, and it forms a nice seam. So now I'm just going to flip it around and add that square right on top, aligning the top 2 fluffy sides and then letting the extended piece of the leather hang off the edge, and you could just cut that off so it'll match the same size of your square. So now we're going to bond the 2 pieces together. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to start adding the hot glue or the fabric glue to the top edge of that leather piece, bonding that fluffy fabric to that microfiber fabric to that top edge as well. Now you're going to do this all the way around the leather portion, and so you see it's now formed a nice little pocket. So now we're going to work on just the 2 microfiber sheets on the other side of that pillow. Now we're going to start by just bonding up the 2 sides first. So add some of that fabric glue stick to the sides of each end of that square pillow. Now you do want to keep pressing this firmly into place because we want that glue to be nice and nestled there. And now you see that the 2 sides are now glued. Now for this final side, you're only going to glue short of the middle because you want to leave an opening about 4 or 5 inches so you can stuff your pillow. So just go ahead and add that fabric glue along each end, making sure that opening is accessible. So once that's nice and dry, we can see we have an opening here, so we can pull out the pillow right side out and just pull the inside right out of that opening that we created, and just reach in and then push out all of those corners of your pillow to make sure that everything looks nice and straight. So now for the opening, we can go ahead and start stuffing our pillow. Now what I like to use for stuffing, I like to buy those body pillows from Walmart, and I use the filling from those. Those seem to be cheaper than buying actual polyfill, so that's my little cheap hack that I like to do. But I'm just stuffing the inside of the pillow until I'm happy. Now if you notice, look at all these seams. They aren't going anywhere. They are nice and taut and neat. I love working with this glue. So once your pillow is nice and stuffed the way you want, add some more of that fabric glue along that top seam. You want to pull that seam taut until those edges fold to the inside, and add more of those clips just until it sets for a few minutes. And once that is set, check it out. The seam is nice and neat. You have one solid, neat pillow, and I'm loving how it turned out. So now you have your two pillows. And check them out. How great do these look for Dollar Tree and clearance materials? Now I love the combination of the creamy white with the leather on this one. And you could never go wrong with the chevron and tassels for bohemian mod vibes. Now I had so much fun creating all of these projects for you today, and you all have to let me know in the comments which one of these projects was your absolute favorite. Now don't forget to check out Holly at Hot Humble Pie to see these amazing restoration hardware dupes. Now I will have the links in the description box below, so be sure to let her know that She's So Crafty sent you by commenting on her video. Listen, if you love DIYs on a budget, please give this video a thumbs up and share this video with your friends. Make sure that you're following She's So Crafty EE on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest for the latest news, sneak peeks, and giveaways. Don't forget to show Holly some love on her channel at Hot Humble Pie and let her know that I sent you by. And if you don't want to miss my next video, be sure to click that subscribe button and tap that bell to be notified when I go live. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.